Hey everyone, welcome back to Sports Forensics and Picks. I'm Matt Corbett. This is John Patterson. Welcome back to the video. NFL Week 4 coming at you here. NFL Week 3 was kind of crazy. A lot of wild things happened. One of the primary things was 3 blocked field goals at the end of the early window. The Packers had fumbled the football, and the Browns seemed to make a clear recovery. They do give the ball back to Green Bay, and then Green Bay tries to kick a field goal. That field goal is blocked, and then the Browns kick a field goal to win the game in the upset. And this is actually a game that you predicted that the Browns, not only were you on the points for the Browns by plus 7.5, but you had them to potentially win that game outright money line. Let's play the clip.
And then there's the middle. And so this has been a big focus. It's all about making profits. So I think the middle's safe, but the upset is probably nearly as likely.
Cool. So that's awesome. Also, there were 2 other games that had wild finishes, blocked field goals, returned for touchdowns at the end of the early window. The Jets blocked a Buccaneer field goal. If the Bucks kick that field goal and make it, they look like they might cover the 7.5 or the 6.5 or whatever it was. And instead the Jets cover. We did have the Jets in that game, so that worked out on our behalf. The other game was the Rams kicking a field goal at the end of the Philly game to beat the Eagles, and the Eagles blocked the kick, returned it for a touchdown, and they covered the 3.5. Take it away, John. What do you think about all these crazy blocks at the end of the early window?
Well, the Rams game, that was a gut punch, unrivaled since last year's Raiders KC game, where they're 13-point dogs. I had them on the money line, and it was that goofy snap where the quarterback just died. All they had to do was kick a chip shot to win. And so that was weird. But this one right here, the Rams were covering. The Rams were already covering the game, they
were covering the points.
Yeah, they were covering the points. And so they go to kick a field goal to win the game, and the C's spread out, and the guy runs in there to block the ball totally, for free. Has time to order in and out and eat it before the guy even kicks the ball, and he blocks it still. But on the last play of the game, kick a field goal, block it, you're already winning. Do they just, lay on it and game over? No. The guy picks it up and unchallenged runs it all the way into the end zone to blow my against the spread pick of the week. So it came down to the final kick. I was already covering, and somehow I managed to pull defeat from the jaws of victory.
Yeah, and then that's crazy. I mean, imagine if you're on the right side of these kicks, then that's great. But being on the wrong side is like just a terrible, terrible turn of events, and that's what can happen. But I'm showing about only 1.5% of NFL picks are blocked. And this week, week 3, this past week, 4 blocked kicks, according to AI, is an NFL record, a one-day record. So I don't know if that information is correct or not, but you guys can fact check me and let us know in the comments. Do want to thank everybody for watching our videos and supporting us here.
Matt, it's a good point you bring up. I'm curious, how many of those were in the fourth quarter? Let alone with less than 2 minutes in the game after the warning.
Yeah.
So I listen to this, NFL. You don't need to sell sports betting to us at all. We don't need that. We just need your games to be normal, meaning organic and not controlled or orchestrated. And it just needs to be natural, and it's not normal. It's not natural. Fine, it's a money play. Fine, we all know you're out to take our money, but quit trying to add theatrics to it. I mean, it's enough that you're hurting us systematically with the way the system is, but it's a whole nother thing where you basically lie and make people choreograph all of these things just to sell the lie. It's really, really bad, and stop that.
It's one of those big head scratcher things when those 3 big plays happen, within 10 minutes of real time, I believe, at the end of that early 1 o'clock window or 10 o'clock window if you're on the West Coast. But it's just crazy, and it almost makes me feel like there's some sort of field goal block ritual or gematria written into this thing. I don't want to go down conspiracy theory avenue here, John, We do need to get to the games that are this week at this point, but what we did have to discuss and bring up this week 3 just craziness that occurred. That being said, let's move to the Thursday night game here. Let's start making some picks here and some evaluations. The Seattle Seahawks dismantled the Saints at home. Now they are on the road, and they are a favorite on the road, -1.5 at the Cardinals Thursday night football. I'm going back onto Seattle. I was on the Saints last week, which was just so dumb. It was obviously that's a terrible pick on my part, and you had it. You knew, hey, 7.5 was strong. And actually, John, there's something I wanted to ask you about last week with these 7.5 spreads. You were very pro, hey, 7.5 for Seattle seems very strong. Let's take Seattle. But at the same time, the Packers 7.5 on the road against the Browns. You were on the Browns in that game. So what was sort of the difference there? What did you see forensically that made you kind of side on both of the correct teams in those picks?
I've never thought about that, but since you bring it up, let's break it down by the matchup. Browns and Green Bay. Green Bay made mincemeat out of really everyone they'd played, including Detroit, who last night just stomped a mud hole in Baltimore, and that even surprised me. So Green Bay is a whole lot better, on paper, and more importantly, in the minds of Joe Better, than is Seattle. And in fact, Seattle was my money line pick of the week against Pittsburgh because it was such it was a spread that was conducive to drawing money on Pittsburgh. And then they go back home and play a bad team. And so they're favored by 7.5, which really, in the eyes of Joe Better, is tantamount to they need to win by 10 points or more, right? Because winning by a touchdown, you lose the bet against the spread. So I thought 7.5 was a better's line, and they rolled them. It was a little dramatic, but there's a big difference between Seattle, the parity in Seattle versus their opponent, and the Browns in Green Bay. And so the fact that the lines were identical on them really showed that, okay, there's going to be a lot more money on Green Bay than there will be the Browns. And conversely, you're giving 7.5 points to a team, the Saints, where it's still early in the year. We know these, and 7.5 is a lot. It's a ton. It's not like Seattle is a great team or a juggernaut. No, not at all. And if they are, they certainly haven't proven it to really anyone. So now that they have this blowout victory, they took care of business against Pittsburgh. And so they're really a big bet team. And look, Arizona, they lost to, a team with a backup quarterback in Frisco. And, they haven't achieved what they're capable of. I think the best days are still ahead of Arizona. And so I think Arizona is going to win this week. They're at home. And so getting 1.5, I'm a little concerned, with the line, because if it were fair, I would say Arizona at worst -3, -3.5. If it was a better's line for Arizona -4.5 or 5. But the fact that they're getting 1.5, again, don't be afraid of anything between the threes. Don't. It will create more confusion in bettors than anything else. So it's almost like a psychological weapon. So don't worry about who's getting 1.5 or whatever. But if you see the money start to run away, a team that's favored by 1, now all of a sudden they're favored by 3.5 and now 4, they're probably gold. But that's not going to happen here this week. It'll stay there. It might move 1 point in either direction, which means nothing. But Arizona is still a better team to me. Charbonnet didn't even play. He was hurt, and they rolled. So there's something that team's got. But again, that was against a horrible team. So this week's going to be a different story.
Heard. Interesting. All right, cool. The first game on Sunday, the Vikings are a road favorite against the Steelers. That line I did show yesterday when I checked the lines was -1.5, I believe, for the Vikes. Now the Vikes are -2.5 in Pittsburgh. So what do you make of that, John?
Give me Minnesota. I'll take Minnesota.
I'm on Minnesota this week. I'm jumping off the Steelers. They haven't shown us anything, and I don't know.
Oh, no. But they will.
They will.
Just not this week.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we talk about it all the time. How we're waiting for them to kind of do their thing, and even last week you said, hey, week 3 win or loss isn't make or break for the season. It's not a must win. They do win the game. I don't know where they're at if they lose that game, but it is what it is, and I don't know. Minnesota's coming off a big win, which it almost makes me feel like this is Pittsburgh's week to show us something. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, no, I think this is more of okay, we saw how life was with Jordan Mason and a full load, and we rolled them. And our defense played, everything was better. A lot of Minnesota's, victory was in the defense and special teams. Yeah. But Jordan Mason was awesome. And so another dose of him, and with them being favorites on the road in Pittsburgh, I see Joe all over Pittsburgh. And so I'll ride the Jordan Mason train.
Sounds good. Yeah, you don't want to be Joe Better this week on the Steelers. I'm on the Vikings with you there. The Saints at the Bills. This is a monster line, biggest line of the week, biggest line of the season so far, I believe. The Bills at home minus 16.5. I believe it was 15.5 when I saw it yesterday. So it did move already. Does that indicate a ton of money on the Bills there? I'm not sure. But it's just a ton of points. What do you think about this game when you talk about these huge lines?
Well, I do think that the Bills, they're going to show a ton in the early going. I think that the defending MVP Josh Allen, he's going to get his, especially early in the year, and this kind of ties into a comment I wanted to make on the last thing you said, and that was kind of a mentality of, well, yeah, Pittsburgh, but if not now, when? We haven't even seen a bye week, and so those are the conversations. The if not now, whens will happen after the bye weeks are done, because that's basically when we're getting ready for the fantasy playoffs, and teams are just operating at completely different levels. Right now, there's none of these teams have really found their stride, and they're just kind of out there competing. They're still deciding which player is going to get the snaps and things like that. So it's just kind of an unpredictable period. And after we've had a few bye weeks in, I think it'll change. As for this game here, Buffalo got to win by 17 or more. NFL normally by nature just has much tighter games, but I think that I don't see any problem at all laying Buffalo. In fact, I would prefer to take Buffalo this week. I would lay the points because I see Josh Allen. It's still kind of Allen time right now, and we need to establish Buffalo as the top dog and the team to beat in the AFC, so that some of these teams can kind of come up from under the radar. And that does include Pittsburgh, by the way.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, even Denver at 1-2. I mean, the Chargers are looking good now at 3-0, right? Yeah, so
not this week.
Okay, well, we'll get there. All right, well, I'm going to jump on the Bills too then in that case.
I bet you would.
Yeah, you knew I was gonna. I can't take the Saints again. I'm never touching the Saints again. I've been saying they're the worst team in the NFL since week 1, and last week they ruined my life. So not so fast. No, it is fast. The Chargers and the Giants. The Chargers are on the East Coast against the New York Giants. They are a 6.5 point favorite on the road. And I know you already said not this week. Well, I know Jackson Dart's going to go, but give me the Chargers. I'm not taking the Giants again.
Well, Jackson Dart, should we? I mean, let's throw the dart. Yeah. I mean, Chargers 3-0, and those were all in their own division. So,
wow, yeah,
3-0 in your division is pretty strong, and I'd love to see Jackson Dart win his first game. I'm probably not going to bet the game, but I definitely think that they're going to cover and put me down for a little, just a fraction on the money line, just for the, because I don't want to watch it come to fruition and say, oh, I was a man and I took the points on it. No, you just take more money on the points. But again, the Chargers clearly undefeated. They're the team to beat, right? 3-0, yet it's a 6.5 point line, which means the Chargers win by a touchdown, they cover. That's a ton of money on the Chargers. So I'm going to go with those points.
Yeah, let me look into it here. Right now, I'm showing that 93% of the bets being placed right now on DraftKings are on the Chargers. So if that lets you know anything.
Okay, well,
okay,
now I can double down on that.
Yeah.
Because the people betting the Chargers are not betting the money line. No,
Right.
They're laying the point. Oh, we'll win by a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people call it half. Half of the people betting the Giants aren't taking the points. They're betting the money line. Mm-hmm. And so, once again, what's the only remaining bet?
The middle, baby.
Let's go with the middle.
Mm-hmm. The middle is the key, man. The middle is everything you need to know. I mean, you should just be looking to see where all the money's going and then bet against that mindset. Bet against where the majority of the money's going, because even though it's hard, you have this, you have a good team or a better team, you want to lay the points with them. Well, guess what? Why do you think Vegas is making so much money? Why do you think this is a thing? It is what it is. Next game,
Matt, that's a great point you bring up, because look at it this way. What's the money line? Let's say like plus 2.25, something like that.
They might even 40.
Okay, so and notice that they've gone higher on those this year, mm-hmm. but even at plus 240, okay, that will attract half the bets on the Giants. The other half will come on the points.
Right.
On the Chargers, the money's either going to go on the money line, which is probably minus 300, close to minus 300. So you're forced to bet 30 pretty much to win 10. That's not fun at all. Nobody's going to do that. They're going to simply lay the 6.5 if you're on the Chargers. So laying 6.5 on the Chargers, all of that money loses, and all of the money loses on the money line for the Giants. Therefore, 25% of the total handle, they only have to pay. They're paying minus 110 for. So, I mean, they're making a profit even on the one spot where they're paying it out. And so, this is how a lot of these games have gone. Where the middle's been, something that we've advised. Because the bottom line is you're just donating. You're donating on either side.
Yeah, 100%. Well, give me Jackson Dart and the New York Giants to cover that 6.5 point spread this week, John. Let's get it done.
On a Dicker the kicker field goal.
Yeah.
Or maybe they take the lead. They take the lead behind Dart in the fourth quarter with 50 seconds left to go, and then the Chargers just go downfield and kick a field goal, maybe make it, maybe miss it, who knows. But it's Jackson Dart's first game. Maybe he does come with the W, but the smart money's the points.
Yeah, it's always tough for a rookie quarterback, though, obviously, especially against a team that has a good defense. So there's that aspect as well. But hey, guess what? At least he's home, and I feel like the odds are in our favor with the amount of money going on the Chargers. So.
The NFL will not allow the Chargers to kill him.
Right. Yeah.
So that's my take on the game.
New York's darling. All right, we've got to move on to the next game here. We got the Eagles. The Eagles on the road against the Bucks. The Eagles are a 3.5 point favorite on the road. And I believe I saw this at 2.5 or 3 at one point. So minus 3.5 for the Eagles. I'm liking the Bucks in this game, actually, to cover that. Beware the hook. What do you think, John?
Well, no, I'll take Philadelphia. They're on the road. Tampa Bay, had 3 offensive line injuries, in the second by the end of the second week, and they didn't face a big enough challenge last week. I mean, look who they played, and they barely won the game. And there could have been, some, funny stuff there too. But against Philadelphia, you're not going to be able to just have half of your line missing.
Right.
And so I'll take the Eagles. They're undefeated, and they're the type of team that starts off 9-0. They've done it a couple times in the last 5 years, and so they're kind of on that path this year. So it's not really, it's not really wise to to predict their defeat. Now, the points, that's different. And I learned my lesson last week by covering and on the last play of the game, trying to turn that into a money line victory and have a block kick returned for a touchdown. Talk about cold water on that idea.
The triple whammy, but hey,
but Philadelphia is just string and win. So yeah. we've got to see that end before we jump on the other side.
What do you think about that line, that 3.5? Do you think that's a fair line for this game?
I think it's a bettor's line, yeah, because if you apply home field advantage, that becomes more like 11. And if Philadelphia were favored by 11 points at home against Tampa Bay, most of the money would be on Tampa Bay on the points.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Then there you go. That's proof of concept.
Heard. Cleveland Browns and the Detroit Lions. Cleveland Browns plus 8.5 right now. Detroit minus 8.5 at home. Detroit coming off a big win. Cleveland coming off a big win. This one's a tough one for me. I mean, I want to take Detroit, but it also seems like, hey, this is, 95% of DraftKings money right now I'm showing is on Detroit. So.
No, boy, talk about metrics that count. I don't think it's going to be too long before DraftKings is lying about those figures. I think they'll come under pressure for it
because it makes no sense to tell people. It's almost like I don't know, but it's also like, oh, everyone's betting that, so I have to bet it too or something. I don't understand the logic because I don't know. Like for example, John, I mentioned to you one time that I do this pick'em league against the spreads. And the best year I ever had was because they would show who everyone's picking, and I would just pick who where the money's not on, rather than maybe a couple games that I was like, well, I just can't do that. You know what I mean? And that was the year.
Yeah, and you're smart too. You're smart too because when you're playing in one of those contests, and there's so many other people on the other side, well, they're all taking that same pick, and so if you can get a couple of those, then you stand to win a week because everybody else is starting off 0-2. On those shady games. So yeah, absolutely. And when you see like in the survivor pools where you got 99% on one and 1% on the other, well, even the biggest underdog, of the year in the NFL is going to pay less than 7-1 on the money line. So, 99 to 1 in reality. And so sometimes you can just kind of see the upsets no matter before the whistle even blows to start the game, because there's just such a stupid amount of money on the other side, and why not take it?
Absolutely. Commanders and Falcons. Commanders -1 at Atlanta. Ooh, good football game written all over it. I guess I'm on the Commanders right now for the time being until we do our video later in the week. I mean, Atlanta didn't show up last week, and that was just pathetic, really. I mean, Carolina, lost Carolina. I mean, we don't know who's who yet, of course, but, we thought we had a pretty good idea about Carolina. And we thought we had a pretty good idea about Atlanta. And last week, that was crazy.
No. That was just 1 week. That was just 1 week. And you know what? Shame on us. Shame on me. Shame on all of us for not looking at that 5.5 point spread and saying, who wouldn't take them? So I got suckered. I got suckered myself by that because of the quote unquote home field advantage. But the reality is, if it was a 13-point spread, I would have probably taken them at home too. But it was still less than a touchdown, and so that was too easy for anybody to see, whether it's at home or on the road. So mea culpa. That was just a bad move to suggest taking Atlanta because that was too low of a buy price on anything that I would suggest laying the points on.
Yeah, they didn't even give us the 6.5. They went to 5.5. Tennessee Titans +7 on the road. Houston Texans -7 at home.
The Titans versus the Texans. Did you say Titans?
Titans? What a garbage game.
I don't know what's wrong with Houston. They're a good team. Look what they did in the playoffs last year, but they haven't quite shown up yet. They haven't quite found a running game, or they're trying not to. But once they turn it on, I think it's going to be on for the rest of the season. So I don't know if that's this week or not. On paper, they should win. I'll take them, but it's so close to a coin flip, and you have Cam Ward, the rookie, who hasn't had a victory yet. I'll take him this week.
Yeah, I'll take him more than the points as well. Carolina Panthers plus 5.5 at the New England Patriots. New England a home favorite minus 5.5. Right now I'm on Carolina. Cover.
I'm not touching this. I'm too disgusted with myself.
Heard and agreed. The Colts. The Colts at the Rams. The Rams minus 3.5 at home. I'm on the Colts because of that hook right now. Over that 3.5. I think the Colts. I love the Rams.
Tell you what, Renaissance year. Jonathan Taylor is the man.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's going to be though against the Rams front.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to force your boy to pass the ball, that could be an ugly game for Indianapolis, because everyone's talking about Jones. Yep. Yeah, he's had a great season so far, but let's not forget that's the running attack that team's had, and I'm not so sure they faced as strong a front as the Rams. So I'll take the Rams. I'll stick with them.
Cool. I love the pick. The Jags at the Niners. Niners minus 3 at home. I mean, I have no pick in this game yet. I will let you know when we do the later video, but right now,
give me the Jags. Give me the Jags to win. They're showing something, and
plus 145 money line.
I mean, I don't trust the money lines yet at any price, because it's such they're so off this year. They're off in a bad way. They're off in a way to trick people, and so they're given an extra 20 to 30 basis points, and they can afford to, because they've got enough people that people like myself that'll sit on the lower price and get them. But even at higher prices, we're just not buying them, which means they're not having to pay people like me, because I won't touch it.
Right.
And the people that do bet it are getting paid more, so great. But in reality, most of the money's still probably going on the other side. So I'm going to follow this trend over the course of the season, because it may actually be one of the cornerstones of how they're taking money, because every now and then they come after people like us, and just with little subtle things like this that really don't make a hill of beans anywhere else, only to us. And this is where we look really, really stupid and crazy and conspiratorial and tin hat when we go all in on something, say like not the Rams. It's a bad example. I mean, that was set up. That was just freak and good for TV. But when we're wrong on some of these things based on the price, that's not cool, because the price is actually one of the most important indicators on how I personally make a lot of my plays.
Absolutely. The Bears and the Vegas Raiders. The Bears are a 1.5 point favorite on the road. Right now I'm on the Bears.
Why not take the Bears? They finally showed up last week. Let's see if they can do 2 in a row.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Ben Johnson's just too good not to, I don't know, it was the Cowboys, and I guess the Cowboys.
But he's not the one playing. He's not the one that can't block. He's not the one that makes stupid decisions and throws into triple coverage. Last week was a good week, but we'll see who shows up.
Yeah, we'll see. I think could be a good game. Could be a really good late window game. The Ravens and the Chiefs. This is a big game. This was the opening game last year. The Ravens right now minus 2.5 on the road against the Chiefs. Hey, the Chiefs. Not only did they survive the Giants, they covered, and they looked okay. So, we kind of wanted them to go 0-3 just for our own personal reasons, I think. But they could get back to 2-2. We don't know. The Ravens, their offense is great, but this defense seems to be underachieving. I am going to take the Ravens in this game, I think. But what do you think about this one, John, in that line, the 2.5?
I'm out.
Love it. Don't touch this one. The Packers minus 7 at the Cowboys. Oh, I'm on the Packers right now. But I mean, they couldn't do the little things last week. And I mean, Cleveland does have a good defense, but Jordan Love didn't look good. He looked under pressure and flustered and erratic at times. Really thought that they would have a better running attack, and I mean, you're winning 10-0 in the fourth quarter, so your defense obviously was doing their job, at some point here. But to lose that game is crazy. I mean, the Packers were a team that I was thinking were the strongest team in the NFL, up until that point. So I am going to take the Packers, laying the points this week. But what do you think, John?
Oh yeah, the defense of Dallas is abysmal. So how would you not want to just go run it up on them? I mean, it's almost like a snow day. So I'll definitely take Green Bay.
Yeah, we'll see if that comes to fruition though, because it's still the NFL somehow. Monday Night Football, part 1 of 2. The Jets on the road against the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins -3 at home. I believe this line has changed. I thought this was 2.5. I thought this was Dolphins -2.5. Now 3. I don't know. I don't have a pick yet in this one.
Yeah, well, I would just take the Dolphins by default.
Yeah, they look good. They showed up against the Bills, and that showed that they do have some heart. But in the Jets, I don't know. You don't know what you're going to get out of the Jets week to week. I don't think so. I don't think you're going to know what you're going to get out of the Dolphins either, though, week to week. So we'll see.
I don't think that. Let's be honest. I don't think Miami showed any heart. I just think that they showed talent. They're just not a good team. I mean, everyone talks about the nerd like he's a real good coach and that, but there's something really missing with the chemistry there because they've got too much talent to suck.
Too much speed, too much talent. It's crazy. Yeah. See what this week brings. The Cincinnati Bengals on the road against the Broncos. The Broncos -7 at home. Give me the Broncos. A lot of points, but it's time. It's time for the Broncos to beat up on somebody. And I think that this is the perfect week to do it.
And their defense is going to show up.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw how good they were. They were really good.
Yeah.
And so,
those of you who don't know, John was at the game, the Charger Bronco game.
but a backup quarterback there. He's in for a day.
Yeah.
Browning he's gonna. I think he's gonna get hurt.
He could hang around against the Jags and get the win, but slightly better defense than the Minnesota Vikings, and he couldn't do anything. And going into Denver, it's got mess written all over it for those Bengals.
Yep.
So we'll see. But yeah, guys. So thanks a lot for watching the videos. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe and all that happy stuff. This is our early pick of the week kind of video here, and we'll do an updated version of this and then break these down into individual games so you can see how our opinions have changed and you can see how the lines have shifted, and we'll have some, odds and pricing, things like that. So what do you think, John? Anything else?
Nope. Just enjoy the games.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, guys. See ya.